I never really ever thought I'd become like an influencer or like a blogger. It's a really crowded market. I think I was lucky when I came in and started posting content because it was when everyone was on their phones. I'm a food blogger, and there are loads of food bloggers in London, but for some reason I am one of the top, which is crazy to even get on that list.
Did you ever think it would become like a job?
Never. No, it was crazy. I was accepting every opportunity that came to me. It sounds so bad to say, but I'm so used to like getting free food all the time. I genuinely don't pay for meals. Like, it's amazing.
How did you actually build something like that at the beginning?
So Invyted basically came around like a booking system for influencers. We've proved the product in London and the UK. We've got influencers now joining all over the world. The founder of Leon Restaurants, John Vincent, turned into an investor. So that's how I got my first external investor, because I invited him through connections.
How impactful was that whole experience setting up a food blog when it came to starting a business of your own?
I honestly think it was a game changer, but people don't realize it.
Asti, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, very well. Very excited to have you on. This is a very unique one because I've never had someone with like a food blog on the podcast before. It always surprises me. I've recorded like 150 episodes so far, and it always surprises me as sort of the sort of entrepreneurs I've not had on. And so this is a first. So welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm glad to be the first food blogger on the podcast.
When did the love of food, like, where did that begin?
So honestly, I just feel like I've always loved food. I've always loved going out, trying new restaurants, cafes in London, even since I was a very little girl. I've been very lucky in the sense that my parents are also foodies. So have been, they take me along when they go out for dinner. And I feel like my love of food has really just come from that, and the exposure I've gotten from, trying all these amazing restaurants. When I've grown up and I'm seeing all these new restaurants in London pop up, I've just always felt the urge to like book in and try them. I'm also very much a planner, so I would very much book my restaurant reservations in advance and, really just pack out my diary to try out all these new places. And, whenever I'm walking around London as well, I've been living here my whole life. So always seen places and I'm like, oh my God, I need to check that out. So yeah, I guess I've always just loved food. So yeah, I would say I'm a massive foodie.
But why did that convert into like love of food, into create content around food?
So I guess the whole creating content started in the sense that, again, I feel like I'm a very creative person. I've always loved, ever since I had a mobile phone, I've always just taken photos and videos of everything. I remember even having like a small camera when I was younger before I had a phone, like kind of vlogging just my random daily life. And I guess like, when I remember getting a GoPro one time for my birthday. And so when I would go on holiday with my family, I'd be filming everything with my GoPro. And I think I never really had, I never really took a course or anything in video editing, but I just kind of learnt myself and learnt how to do it, and have always been really fascinated in the whole kind of content creation space, even like kind of before the social media content creation thing all started. So when I had a phone, I'd be taking photos of when I went out to eat at different restaurants. And then I think it was, around 2018, 2019, so around like 5 years ago now, I just decided to start up a Instagram page and just share this content that I already had on my phone and just post it out to my friends. Ultimately, at the time, my friends just followed me because my whole camera roll was just filled with images of food. And I just thought, it looks quite nice together. Why not I just post it on Instagram? So yeah, that's kind of how the whole.
But the concentration at first was not around like growing the page. It was more like just showing off to your friends, basically, like where you've been. Yeah,
exactly. It was very much. I never really ever thought I'd become like an influencer or like a blogger, or even if people care about what I'm posting. It was very much honestly just for me. Some of my friends followed me. It would just more so be like a diary, I guess, in my mind, to like showcase where I'd been out to eat. And people then started, because I've always been a foodie, people would start asking me like, what's your, where would you recommend eating in London and things like that. So it would just kind of be a place where I could remember where I'd been and recommend various places. And then once I kind of started, I guess, posting about it, because I just loved doing that and loved kind of the content creation side. Of course, Instagram back then, it was very much still photo led. So it was a lot of if you scroll down to the bottom of my page,
photos, yeah.
You'll see all the photos. Reels. Yeah, no reels at the time. And I think like when reels started coming around, and TikTok obviously kind of during lockdown, which was like a couple years later, I just started randomly like putting together some of my videos that I already had on my phone. Yeah. And I mean, it's a long time ago now, but yeah, I think I just posted out a video on Instagram, like my first ever reel. And I mean, it did quite well. And then I just continued posting reels, and then I started gaining followers. And, you know, during lockdown, everyone was on their phones. So everyone was looking at, you know, the Instagram pages and things. And especially when it came to, I know this was later, but Eat Out to Help Out in London. I think at that point, people were really looking places to go, and they were looking online and on social media to find places to eat. And I think it was honestly during this time when one of my videos I posted just really like gained a lot of traction. It got like 1 million views. That was like my first like proper big video, and that video itself got me up to 10,000. Obviously it was kind of a gradual process.
10,000 followers.
10,000 followers, yeah. That was like the tipping point, I'd say. Because after that happened, I had an influx of new followers. And then when I hit 10K, I was like, oh my God, like, got eyes on me now. People are looking at my content. I think I need to like put a bit more effort into it, which I was doing anyway. But, you know, it really pushed me to learn more different editing styles and things like that, and just basically create better content. But ultimately, that was still my hobby.
Was that the moment where you sort of saw potential, I guess, within like short form content, within Instagram, within the niche that you were in?
Definitely. I think like, yeah, with the rise of TikTok during this time as well, and with the videos doing well, I think videos always, even now, like everyone knows video content does better than photo content. Well, I guess also the social platforms are pushing that as well. So yeah, I definitely think that I was just kind of replicating, and I was still growing. I had an account on TikTok too, and I was growing that as well. So I was just kind of posting out all my video content on there. And I guess like, yeah, I think the social platforms really do push the short form video content.
Did you ever think it would become like a job?
Never. No,
At that point?
it was crazy. I guess like if we talk about like how I even came up with the whole, when I really started putting more effort into my food account, so I was at uni. I went to University of Bath, studied business, but essentially during that time, again, this was kind of during lockdown, 2 out of my 4 years was actually just at home, online lectures and everything. I had a 6-month placement at a PR agency, like a boutique restaurant PR agency. And it was during this time when my account was growing to the 10,000 mark. And that's when one of my videos went viral. And when I was at the agency, I was actually, you know, very much on the brand side, I guess, like reaching out to influencers and things. And I remember like thinking, oh my God, these influencers are getting, you know, free food and getting invited to all these events all the time. And that's kind of, I think, what really pushed me to like put more effort into my food account, because I was seeing that all these amazing creators were getting access to all these opportunities. So I was like, you know what, if I put a bit more effort into my account, maybe I could hit 10K one day. And then, you know, shortly after I did. And I think that was really the point when I hit the 10,000 mark. Then I was like, okay.
So you saw basically behind the curtain, and you saw how look over to the treatment these influencers were getting in terms of like how much they were getting paid, or the sort of opportunities they were getting.
Just all the opportunities. It was like crazy. And like it was, again, we'll get on to kind of Invyted and like what I'm doing now, but I guess like that's really also how the whole idea sparked for Invyted too, because I guess when I hit the 10,000 mark on Instagram, I then started to get outreach by brands. Like I would get DMs and emails all the time to be like, you know, again, it was kind of during lockdown, so I'd get messages a lot being like, hey, we want to send you like a box of our brownies, like from like a small independent bakery. And I'm like, great. Like I'd be getting sent stuff all the time during lockdown. It was amazing. Like I'd get packages and packages. And then when, you know, Eat Out to Help Out and people were coming out of lockdown, I started getting invited to restaurants, which is also amazing. And then when I went back to Bath for uni, I started getting invited to the restaurants there. So that was really cool. But yeah, I honestly just kind of snowballed from the point I got 10,000, I would say.
So would you say like 10,000 was that sort of magic number where brands started like talking to you, you were getting more opportunities and also getting invited to these like cool places?
I think so. Yeah.
Really? So before that it was more sparse?
Yeah, I guess like, of course, yes, I was getting contacted when I had like 8,000 or even like 6,000. That is still pretty good. Like it's, you know, kind of nano micro influencer level. But I would say that people just see 10K, like when there's the K there, like it's, you know, I don't know. I feel like obviously I work with influencers now all the time, so it's crazy to even think. But yeah, I think 10K, when people have 10K, it's like, wow, you got 10,000 followers. It is kind of like a step up, even though like, of course, 6,000 or 7,000 is still a lot. I think like that, just purely because it shows differently. on Instagram. I think
reckon?
people were like, oh, yeah. Honestly, if it had 6K, maybe people would even like think
Yeah,
differently.
maybe.
I don't know, but yeah.
But then it has to go down to like 1K, maybe.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How did you grow from like, because when you first started, you were posting just to your friends.
Yes.
And I guess like, when was that switch, and how did you switch it from, say, well, you said like the reels, but like how did you grow it from there to say like 500 followers or whatever to like 10,000?
I would say, again, it was like a gradual process. It was, it wasn't instant, like overnight. From the moment I kind of really started pushing and posting content, I'd say it was like 8 or 9 months before I got 10K. So it was kind of gradual.
Like 500 to 10K in like eight or 9 months.
8 or 9 months, yeah. Which I know seems like quite a long time for some people. Some people can go viral and get 10,000 followers in a month. But mine was pretty gradual because it was very much a hobby. I really wasn't putting that much effort into it because I was studying university at the time. I would say that, of course, at the beginning, following other accounts who are in the same space. I was following loads of other food accounts, interacting with them. That helps grow your following because, you kind of, there is definitely like, when you're in it, like in the industry and like an influencer, there's definitely a very strong community there. Like I know all the foodies in London now, like all the UK, like London foodies. They're like, I know a lot of them personally now, which is so nice. And again, that's really helped me grow Invyted up. But I think you just start seeing these influencers in their posts, and then like you see people start going to the same events and the same things, which is really, really cool. But I guess your question from 500 to 10K, I guess it was just consistency as much as I could at the time. Definitely that's a major thing I would say, like, is really, really important. And just seeing, using trending sounds and that is always very much important. But I think I was lucky in the sense of when I came in and started posting content, because it was when everyone was on their phones.
Yeah.
Whereas nowadays, there's so many other influencers out there. It's a really crowded market, and everyone's content has got amazing. Like I'm watching videos, I'm like, wow, like this editing is incredible. Like I've never learned or done any courses in editing. I would love to, but I just don't have the time. So I think people are really looking into like actual editing styles.
Yeah.
Like, if your content is specific, you can kind of recognize it. Like I can recognize some influencers posts, even if I don't see their handle, because I can recognize their editing style, and like that's kind of at a point I want to become like my page. I want people to recognize, okay, that's like an Eat with Asti reel,
How have you seen, I guess, because now your focus is more on Invyted, which we'll obviously talk about in a bit, but how have you seen Instagram, like TikTok, YouTube, how have you seen them evolve since you started and grew your page to say like now? So if someone listening and watching, if they want to, or like they have a food blog of their own right now that they want to grow or something similar, how have you seen sort of things change, and how can they sort of capitalize on that?
I think it's really, the social platforms are crazy because I feel like they're adding so many new features all the time. I think you really just need to stay on top and actually lean into these new features as much as, like, for example, I remember when Instagram stories came around. I know this was probably a long time before this, but I remember thinking, oh, no one's going to use Instagram stories. That's a Snapchat thing, Snapchat stories. And people didn't really, I remember I was like, what is an Instagram story? I'm never posting that. And now Instagram stories is like the thing. Like I use Instagram stories a lot more.
So than posting images.
Exactly.
Yeah, which is what Instagram started with.
Exactly. So I think like as much as the social platforms are kind of copying each other and stuff, and you might think, oh, even when Instagram started doing reels, instead of, their normal video posts, like people may be like, oh, that's a TikTok thing. But I think my advice would be like really lean into it. And I'm bad at it myself, like, because it is hard to kind of do that. For example, like Threads. Like I was thinking, that's a Twitter thing, but I don't use Threads that much. I mean, you can do the automated thing, which I do, where you can like get it automatically to post on there. Because again, I think really leaning into all the new features. Firstly, the social platforms push that, so they're going to push the content that's posted on Threads ultimately. But also, it will get to a point where like you've not done it, and then you're going to be behind the other people that have like got onto those new features. I would also say like replicating your content across multiple platforms. I mean, that's like a given. Like make sure if you've got an Instagram, as you said, if someone has like an Instagram food blog, don't like neglect TikTok. Even if your videos are not doing as well on TikTok, like keep posting, because people will start recognizing your content across platforms. So yeah, I do this as well. Like as much as my Instagram is definitely my main channel, like I post the same on TikTok And normally it's quite interesting actually. The videos that obviously do well on one will do well on the other. So
Yeah. Do you change your content at all when it comes to different platforms, or do you just like literally post the same thing? Because this is a question I've heard is like,
yeah.
should you alter it for different platforms, or should you just like, yeah, whatever, just like post it on another platform?
I would say for some reason, I don't know what it is, I feel like my Instagram, I keep it a bit more polished than my TikTok. For some reason, I don't care what I post on my TikTok. I can post like multiple videos, like kind of this of the same place, which I would never do on Instagram.
Yeah.
Because I feel like on Instagram, it's like you post a reel of a place and that's like that dedicated video. I wouldn't post like multiple about that place. Unless it was like, I don't know, a different, like a photo and a video or something like that. But
Yeah.
I guess on TikTok, I genuinely don't care what I post. I mean, I post like random stuff as well, which maybe is a bad thing, but I just don't really mind. I think TikTok is very, very much a place where you can share as much content as possible. I don't think the algorithm, it doesn't matter. Like the more you post, the better reach you'll get. Whereas on Instagram, I feel like you need to kind of, I would say like once a day or like once every couple of days, because otherwise I do see my views drop when I post loads, which is funny.
Really?
Yeah, I do for sure. Like when
Wow.
especially on stories, like if I'm posting a story, and I post like, I don't know, 10 stories,
Yeah.
they will get like maybe 100 views or like 200 views, which is like ridiculous when I have like 46,000 followers. But if I wait a while and I just post like one story and like stagger out my content, it will get thousands of views.
What's the magic sort of schedule? Like, what is?
I
didn't know that.
Well, that's maybe my one personally, but I do just think that like, especially with stories, you will have your engaged followers who will like click through them more. But I think like having one story is more, people will want to click on it as opposed to, when you have a series of 10, they'll click on the first few and then like drop off.
Yeah.
Depending on what you're posting, of course. But I think that's a trend that I've seen within my own page. So I do tend to like post less on Instagram and keep it more my most polished, like perfect video. In a way, I kind of test on TikTok. I'm like, okay, let's post a few, see what does the best, and then I'll post that on Instagram.
Yeah.
That's kind of my tactic.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, I've not heard that before. What was life like because once you hit 10K, as you said, like life sort of changed a bit for you.
Yeah.
What was, because you were still at uni, so like what was life like for you after you hit that number?
Honestly, like it's crazy. Like these influencers, I was accepting like every collaboration that was like every opportunity that came to me. I think obviously now, like, it sounds so bad to say, but I'm not numb to it, but I'm so used to like getting free food all the time. Like I genuinely don't pay for meals. Like it's amazing. But I think that like, yeah, when you hit 10,000, like, or around that mark, I think like the opportunities just fly at you. Like it's ridiculous. You get multiple emails. I'm getting multiple, like 10 plus emails a day and DMs as well from brands like all over the world. I've been now invited to like places like hotels in Thailand, and like it's incredible. Like I'm also not like huge, like I haven't got millions of followers, but I think when you start posting content, people will just start finding you, and if they like your content, they'll invite you for a freebie. And I think life definitely got especially being a uni student, it was great because I was getting access to all these, getting sent loads of product to my home in Bath, like getting access and being able to go out to eat. I'd get invited to events in London, and at the time, because I was so excited, I would literally take a train home and for the event and come back the same day, because obviously I was like, I can't miss this event. Whereas in a way now, like, again, it's really bad to say, but I can pick and choose now. I pick and choose the best ones I want to go to. Like I can't accept every collaboration. I just don't have the time. So I really focus on the brands that I want to work with, and what they're offering. And
what was the craziest or like most, I guess like craziest one like offer that you got?
Ooh, honestly, I've been able to work with like brands like Coca-Cola, and who pay me for videos on my TikTok, and I've been able to the hotels, I think, are like a really cool thing. Like I've been able to go to staycations in the countryside and have like literally everything covered. There's some opportunities that I've had to pass down, which was such a shame because I'm just like way too busy. But like I've been invited to like the Caribbean, flights and everything included, like for a whole week, which is like incredible.
That's
Same
insane.
with like this 5-star hotel in Thailand and various other places in Europe. I think one of the most, I mean, it's not like crazy, but I remember seeing like lots of influencers go to Shake Shack. And I love Shake Shack. And I remember thinking, like, when am I going to be invited? Like, because you have to, you know, you need to know certain people to get invited. Like, they obviously have to contact you, but you can't just DM like a big brand like that. They're just not going to reply. Like, of course, sometimes you can outreach to brands and be like, hey, you know, I'd love to collaborate, but they ultimately just won't get back to you. They need to come to you. And I remember getting that because I'd seen all the other influencers go and I'd be like, yes. So now I'm like, I go every month. Like, they invite me all the time and I love Shake Shack. So that was a really cool one because I just remember being like, when am I going to be invited? But yeah, I mean, I've got sent like personalized products before with my name on it, handwritten note. Like, it's really sweet. Like, it's
That's
the things we get
insane.
sent are amazing. Yeah.
But you, like in the grand scheme of things, you're not like one of the biggest, but
No,
these
not at
opportunities
all.
are still like incredible.
Yeah, I think honestly it's because of my niche. Like, I'm
Yeah.
a food blogger, and there are like, of course, there's loads of food bloggers in London, but for some reason I am one of the top. I'd say I'm one of the top 100. Like, I've been named, and there's like a list, like top 100 food bloggers in London. And I'm somehow in that list, which is crazy to even like get on that list. But I think it's because I really focus on food. Like, I don't really show my face much. It's not just people want us, like, like people apparently, well, I think content does better when you're showing like the personality behind like the food, but I very much like focus on like the food.
Yeah.
I really get my face in the videos.
Well, if someone was like starting Instagram, or like if you were to start it again, like today, what would be the plan? Like, how would you start it?
I would say, in terms of course, there's loads of other types of bloggers too. Like some influencers and some food bloggers specifically focus on like coffee and brunch, for example. I'm like all-rounded, all food.
You can go super niche. That's the crazy thing.
That's
you
big.
can go super
Yes,
niche.
I think like the more niche you go, the more honestly the more traction you probably will get, because people you'll get a core following of like, I don't know, burger lovers or something like that. Of course, like, I feel like I love all foods, so I couldn't really do that. However, I think like because I stick to purely food, mainly, I post a bit of travel, but not really. I think people really follow you for that reason. I always am very much an advocate of like, if you can, the lifestyle bloggers, of course, that people follow you for you, so you need to show your face and everything. But I think like ultimately, people follow me for my food, so I need to constantly be pushing out food content, because if I start posting out fashion content randomly, people will be like, what? Like, I followed you for food. Like, why am I don't care about your fashion. I mean, you might, but you know, I think when you gain followers, it's also like retaining the followers. You don't want to like get a whole influx of followers and then like drop down. Like, I think being consistent growth is always the way to go.
What was the sort of typical day that it looked like for you? Like, because I know for a fact, like, people, especially like when they look at the content, they're like, oh, this is pretty easy. This won't take that long to do. Like, even with this podcast or whatever, like, people, I don't think people realize how much sort of work goes into it.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, what did it, I know you were studying at the time as well, but like, what did a typical day sort of look like for you?
I guess if we talk about my food page, obviously now it's like completely different because my food page has very much gone down the priority list, I'd say. But I guess in terms of like my food page, when I was kind of just a uni student, I very much, honestly, would go out for breakfast, lunch and dinner every day, free, which is amazing. But during, you know, it's, as much as that sounds amazing, it is amazing, but it, you know, I'm enjoying the food, but it's always work. I've got my camera out, I'm filming, like, my friends, whoever's with me, have to wait. They can't dig in. They have to wait for me to do my food, get my angles and get the videos and stuff. And of course, like, it's not that easy to like get good content. Like, you really need to know, like, I ask to sit specifically by a window, for example, for the good lighting, because otherwise it's like dark and it's like the content's going to be bad and it's not going to perform well. There's all these little things that like you need to think about, and I've learned over the years that I think obviously adds time to the whole process. And then obviously editing it is another thing. I could whip out a video pretty fast, I'd say, like 5-10 minutes, and sometimes those videos do end up doing really well randomly, but then sometimes I do spend like an hour editing or more editing a video. You know, it depends on like the brand guidelines and things like that, and what I really want to showcase, and if there's like a voiceover, and if there's this, like, for voiceovers, like, you can't just sit there and do a voiceover. I literally write a script because you need it to feel, you know, flow properly, and there's just a lot of things to think about. I think people don't really realize picking the sound, doing the captions. Like, writing captions is also like, you know, quite lengthy, especially if I write like, I try to write like a proper review, you know, and like rate the restaurant. So there's a lot to think about. And then obviously that's in between times of filming. So it's just like a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, as I said, people don't realize the full extent of
Yeah, and then
content
that's
creation.
also not even, I wasn't even doing it full time. Like I was also studying
that's
at the
the
same
thing.
time. So it's like breakfast, then you got a bit of time, and then lunch, and then a bit of time, and then dinner, and then
And it was all you as well. You didn't have like an editor or anything like that.
no.
I've got editors for this, so it's like I do sort of manage what goes on and stuff.
Yeah.
But when I was doing it all myself, it was just so much time
Yeah.
to spend.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, it's like people don't realize.
People don't realize at all. Like I've always very much run my food page. I do everything myself.
Yeah.
Do all the editing and everything. I just, of course, people have asked me like, can I help out? And like, I don't have the time to like go to all these like free meals. But I think like, one, editing style is really important. Like people understand, like they know it's me, firstly, and ultimately I like doing it. Like I'm not just doing it. I'm not, I don't really make that much money off my food page. Like it's more of like a hobby, and then I've turned it into a business. But yeah.
Yeah. Let's talk about it now. So Invyted, where did that idea come from? And I guess like it was an evolution of sorts of what you were already doing. So yeah, where did the idea come from?
So Invyted basically came around. I was doing my final year at uni. I guess like separately, I've always wanted to have my own business of some sort. I guess if I wasn't doing Invyted, I probably would be doing my food page full time or do another business. But I guess it was honestly at the point where I was getting so many emails, so many DMs. It was very, very difficult to manage this communication, because as much as I'm saying, it's all amazing, you get invited to all these free meals, like there's a lot of back and forth. It's like, honestly, sometimes it'd be like 40 emails back and forth. It'd be a restaurant messaging you, hey, Asti, we'd love to have you down to our restaurant. I'd be like, okay, cool. Can I come next Friday lunch? Oh no, you can't come then. Like we're closed. Like come this time. Back and forth for so long. And bear in mind, this isn't instant. It's like you might wait a few days in between these emails. So like by the time they get back to you, the time has passed. It's like, well, I'm busy now. So I guess like that just was a bit frustrating. So I was like, what? I literally thought, surely there's an app out there or some sort of booking system like OpenTable or like 7 Rooms for influencers that I can literally go on and book. I thought there must be something. Did my research, there wasn't anything. It's a lot of like agencies or brands doing it in-house. So I guess that was kind of how I thought of it, because I thought there was something in the market. Had a look on the App Store, there wasn't anything. And same with events as well. Like these influencers obviously events are less frequent than the visits, but like getting invited to launch events, again, I get invited pretty much every day to an event now. Can't do them all, but a lot of the time, people are busy. Like there's always event dropout, and I think like people would message me like the day before an event or the day of, like literally in the morning, being like, hey, Asti, like by any chance are you free tonight for an event? And I'm thinking, I know for a fact that you're filling spots, because there's no way you're inviting me this morning for an event tonight. So obviously that was a bit awkward as well. I was a bit like, I don't know, I don't want to be, a filler. Also, I was busy. So honestly, initially, the whole idea for Invyted came around for the event side first. I was like, I would love to see a calendar. As I said, I'm very much a planner, like in advance of all the new restaurant openings and what ones can I go to if the brand want me. So again, did my research for this kind of idea. There wasn't really anything. So honestly, just kind of came up with a business plan straight away. And I just thought, right, it's basically like a booking system for influencers. You've got brands and influencers who can kind of join an app. Brands put out the offers like an event or something, and it would look very similar to, a booking system or booking app. And then I literally, as an influencer, can book onto the event or like request to attend, and then the brand can basically say yes or no, because from my experience at the agency, I very much know that like, you got your core list of influencers. You want people 10K plus or 20K plus. They will need to be food focused, not lifestyle, for example. So basically that's how the whole idea came around. So
and that didn't exist before?
No.
Because you're right, I guess like all that communication is over email or through agencies or on Instagram DMs.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
It's all fragmented
manual,
and it's manual as well.
Exactly. So there wasn't anything really in the market. Of course, now we've got some competitors. But at the time, there wasn't really anyone who's done a proper tech platform that to streamline it. I think like, you just think like, oh, it's a manual job, right? You need to look through. But actually, of course, there's a part of it which is manual. And also it's in person, like events and stuff. But I think like, what we've done with Invyted is very much streamline the process, and we make it easy for like the influencers to like find things to, go to, and find restaurants to book into, makes their life a lot easier. And then from the brand side, again, like getting access to thousands of influencers that we now have on the platform, it's like amazing.
What did you build for? Because like you were like two-sided, I guess. You need to like bring brands, but also like influencers, and there isn't value for either of them unless the other party is there.
Exactly.
So like, which side did you decide to build first?
So essentially, I'll kind of explain like how the whole thing came around and like when we did it. So it was actually in February 2022. I kind of came up with the idea. I was still at uni at the time. Basically started building out the platform. So we built the platform out, which was basically a mobile, well, so it's a mobile app for influencers and a web-based platform for brands. I just thought marketers probably use a computer, so it's pretty easier. Obviously I have a tech team who've basically been building that. We basically spent the majority of 2022 building out the platform. And then obviously, as you said, we're a marketplace. We need users on both sides to make it work. So how I did it was very much just me at the time. Honestly, for like a year, it was pretty much just me doing it. But because I'd met a lot of these influencers, as I said, there's a really strong community of food influencers and other influencers, but in my space, food, that I'd met at events and just online, really, like on Instagram, that I genuinely just DM'd hundreds of them. And I just said, hey, I'm building this app. Like, do you want to join? Like, please join. You know, like I knew some of them, and they were like, "Yeah, sounds super exciting. Like, we'd love to join. Like, haven't seen anything like this." Got everyone on a wait list. So I was like, "Okay, I've got a couple hundred influencers now on the wait list, ready to."
Were they all focused around food, or they
initially food? Yeah. We have.
So I guess that's also an important thing as well. Is like at the beginning you were more sort of niche,
only food.
Yeah, and then expanded out after
100%. Yeah, we were actually not called Invyted at the time. I don't like saying it, but it was called Invited. Like a bike.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, a bit of a pun, but we don't talk about that. Yeah, it was very much food focused.
Bleep it
out. And essentially, just got like, I had like 200 people, I think, like 200, 300 people on the wait list to, you know, I could just send an email being like, is it ready now? Like on the app store.
Yeah.
Brand side obviously is a lot harder. Like, again, we were doing like free trials for the platform at the beginning to like I just needed to really test the product. I guess we did have like a soft launch phase for a couple of months before we like officially launched, but from my connections and the brands I'd already worked with and the restaurants that had invited me, I just said like, hey, like, why don't you join my app? And I explained the process. Of course, it was a lot harder because they're like, what? Like, we've never even thought you could do this through tech. And yeah, got like around 20 brands, I'd say, initially on.
What sort of brands were these, by the way?
Restaurant brands.
All restaurants.
Like, we had like salad bars, some restaurants all around. I mean, some of them, we have like a yogurt bar that's still.
And how did you onboard them? Just through email?
So we basically, the web platform was ready. I mean, everything was ready, but we hadn't released it to the App Store yet. So we basically got them all set up on our web-based platform, which is basically a self-serve platform where brands can come onto the app. So for example, this yogurt bar, it's called Fresco, which they've got an offer live now. So they've been with us for like 2 years, but essentially they literally came onto the app. They were offering like some yogurts and smoothies for the influencers. And basically they just set up the offer. They add in all their photos and the handles and the hashtags and everything they're offering free for the influencers. They put this offer out live on our app, and then the influencers basically were able to book and go, or like just go visit and redeem. So it's all very self-serve even to this day.
But is there like a threshold where so the brand can just like says, you know, you have to be minimum this, like is there a threshold or like
we've got different features on the app. At the time, we only really had invites, which was like individual visits and events, but we have very much expanded that now. We do this like walk-in feature specifically tailored to like coffee shops, fast food chains, and we have like loads of amazing brands like Chipotle and Dunkin Donuts and you know, lots of like independent coffee shops on that feature, which came after because we were finding that it was just a need for that type of product. You know, coffee shops don't need a restaurant booking, really. You just can walk in. And now we also have gifting, which is not in person. It's our only feature, which is for product-based brands. So like products, they can send products to influencers' homes, basically. But initially, it was just invites and events. So in terms of what you asked about thresholds, brands basically have the option to have it on an instant book basis or request. So basically a brand, like let's just say it's a restaurant, they were offering like a free 3-course meal. They could either put it out on an instant book. So any of our influencers who have been approved on Invyted, just to mention the minimum requirement to join Invyted is 10,000, purely from my experience. I do think it's the magic number. So yeah, everyone on Invyted has minimum 10,000 followers. They could either instantly book it, or if a brand's more picky, because obviously we've expanded out of food, we have like food, lifestyle, travel, fashion, beauty, fitness, family bloggers, like a whole range.
Yeah.
They can basically request to visit the restaurant. So I can request to visit a restaurant next Friday. I request this on the app, and then the restaurant can basically see, okay, Asti's requested, she's a food blogger, she's 24, here's her content, here's her following, here's her engagement rate. Like, we pull all the data from Meta and TikTok. So it's quite analytical too. And then they can basically say yes or no, and then book me in or not. If they don't want me because I'm a specific type of blogger, then they can decline me.
Yeah. But yeah, it does sound super easy. And like, I guess the exact problem that you're solving is getting rid of that whole like fragmentation, that time lag. It's a lot more targeted as well, because they can see the landscape from a brand's perspective.
They can see all the influencers.
Yeah. And like from an influencer's perspective, they can see everything that's on offer.
Exactly. Instead of just getting like emails back and forth.
And they know it's legit as well. That's the other thing.
Exactly.
Like a lot of these offers, if it was just through Instagram DM, like you don't know how legit.
You do get some weird ones. I once got contacted saying, "Can we send you some cat food?" I don't have a cat. So that was a bit strange. Like, things like that, it's a bit strange. I think it's quite nice. Again, we do have different features on the app where brands can like handpick influencers from our database and like really send them like special invites. But I guess normally what brands do is like they put the offer out and they see the interest, which is a lot better. It's much more authentic.
Yeah.
Because some influencers might just do it for I don't know. They might just, because they've been invited, be like, okay, I'll go, as opposed to them really wanting to go. So yeah, we very much let it like the influencers can request to collaborate.
A question though, like because you said that you were working on it majority on your own, and the idea came like when you were at uni.
Yes.
How did you actually like practically build something like that at the beginning? Because like I'm assuming there wasn't sort of much money in the business. It was just an idea from yourself. You need it's a tech solution, so you need probably some help in order to build.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Like how did you navigate that?
Yes, so essentially the idea came around in early 2022. I was still studying at the time, graduated that June. Found a really good tech team to help me build out the platform, raised some money from family and friends in order to build it out. So it was just myself and the tech team at that point. So I'd say we were building out, as I said, for the majority of 2022, and we officially launched in Feb 2023. So yeah, we've only just turned 2, just a month or so ago. And after the first, I'd say, when we launched, in the first year, I just had my investment from kind of family and friends to build out the platform, and it was just myself. So that was kind of the only costs, I guess. And then from February 2023, that's when I started getting external investors in,
right?
Who very luckily like kind of came to me. We did a big launch party in London in February the 2nd, 2023. I invited all those influencers who were on our wait list, and plus like honestly anyone in my network that I thought would be useful in the restaurant hospitality space. Invited the founder of Leon Restaurants, John Vincent, who from that point turned into an investor. So that's how I got my first external investor, because I invited him through like connections. Didn't think he would come, honestly, because he like what was I like, it was just a random launch party with loads of influencers, but I ended up getting loads of brands and like PR agencies and things just that I'd like met through the this whole process. And after that point, he just said we'd love to have a chat about investment. Had never really pitched properly before, but basically got him involved as our first kind of like proper external investor, I'd say. From that point, I've been so lucky that I've had other people find me through LinkedIn or other connections who've like put money in. So that's really helped me hire more people, some of my team who are with me today. So my team's still pretty small, but I'd say majority of our investment to date has gone to the tech. And we've built a pretty solid platform that's like ready to be scaled globally. And then I just have a small team around me who focus on, sales, marketing, and like customer success.
It's very, very cool. Very, very impressive. And I guess like the main thing I can pick out from your overall journey is that whole sort of concentration on building, I guess, a personal brand or like the food blog page originally really helped you massively when it came to all these, because you understood the problem firstly very, very well from an influencer perspective. And you could probably like gauge fairly well, like from a brand's perspective, what their problems are as well, given those interactions. You had a good landscape of like who the other food influencers are around you, and like you probably interact with a lot of brands, like maybe like people like fairly senior within those brands that.
Oh yeah.
So you had a good network. You understood the problem very well. How how impactful was that whole experience, like setting up a food blog, when it came to like starting a business of your own?
I honestly think it was a game changer. Like, I don't think, well, firstly, I don't think I would have actually run into the problem if I wasn't an influencer myself, obviously, because it's like, when you think about it, when I'm telling other people, everyone's like, oh my God, that's like such a great,
Yeah,
like,
literally
simple
need it
idea.
right now, yeah.
Yeah, but people don't realize that there was nothing in the market. And because I was an influencer, I literally know the other things in the market. And yes, there are now similar apps, or I guess, like, I don't know, platforms or websites, whatever, that do similar like matchmaking things, but like not. I've really built the app out in a way, firstly on the creator side, that like everything that I would want, literally, I can show you after, but you can literally see like what you're getting. You can see images of the restaurant, you can see the menu, because a lot of the time, you know, sometimes I would turn up at a restaurant, one, they wouldn't even have my booking in the system. They'd bring me the bill, which is a bit like embarrassing to be like, oh no, like, you know, it's a collaboration. Whereas our system's it's a booking system, so it's like everything's in the system already. The menu and like what you're actually allowed, like sometimes it's not very clear, you know. And then when a brand says, hey, we'd love to invite you in for a meal, unless you ask, like I always make sure I ask, like if it's outside of invited, obviously, like what actually are you offering, because sometimes it might just be like one main meal, but sometimes it's like literally like, I don't know, £400 budget. So it's like we really needed to make it clear, like for influencers and obviously what the brands are offering, so there's not any, you know, they don't get a bill at the end for like half of the meal or something. What type of content they're looking for, hashtags, mentions, making sure they're like spelling it all correctly. I just really like knew like what an influencer wanted in that sense, and obviously just like a 2-step process to book, like request a date and then book it. Brand side, I'd say, as much as I haven't run my own restaurant or brand, I think me having my experience at a PR agency, I really knew as well, like what brands were looking for. One, the 10K mark. Every time like a brand they would want at least 10,000 followers. So we kept that limit. Also, just to keep the whole thing quite exclusive. I feel like it's quite a nice thing that people like aspire to be a part of our community. And yeah, just like all of the data points as well, because again, that's the only thing you can do via tech. Like, we literally can track all the content shared in real time. So when an influencer goes to the restaurants, of course you can see their stories and stuff, but like you don't know how many views that story has. But we can track it all because we've connected with Meta and TikTok. Like, there's various like things like behind the scenes that like,
so like ROI as well, it's like afterwards that I guess the brand wouldn't have access to.
They wouldn't have access to it unless they literally message the influencer and say, hey, like, can you screenshot your insights? Like, who wants to do that? Like, the influencers get annoyed at that. They just don't have the time.
Yeah, we literally had a sponsorship on the podcast, similar thing to that, where they were just, I mean, I wouldn't say it's like inefficient, but I'd say for a brand that's like, you know, bigger than what we are on Instagram, and they have like multiple of these, you know, per week or whatever it is, it can get pretty exhausting.
Yeah.
So like with us, it's like, email them, you know, how many likes a certain thing got, or how many views, and it's fine. But if it's, you know, if they're not very responsive, or if it's a huge campaign, like it can get very, very exhaustive. I can see that.
No, 100%. That's like the thing. We're trying to really, well, first make it easier for brands, because like everything is just tracked on our analytics dashboard in real time. Like, there's nothing they need to do. Influencers don't have to do anything. They just go, enjoy, post their content. That's it. They don't have to do anything after. So yeah, we're just trying to make the whole process a lot more seamless, really. And they can see like engagement rates and things like that, because we have the data from Meta and TikTok. They need to ask the influencers in advance. So
and they also can't lie about it as well. That's the other thing.
Exactly.
I mean, a lot of the data is public now, but like, I mean, it's like story views. Like, it's not.
Story views is the one thing that is quite unique to our platform. Like, you can't really get that, but obviously you can see like reels and stuff. But we literally gather everything. Yeah,
that's amazing. Where do you see like Invyted going, I guess, in the future? Where, like, are there any like new niches that you're looking into? Are there any like new features that you think would like be beneficial for brands or influencers?
I think, honestly, like over the period of what we've been live for 2 years now, we very much built out the platform in a way that like we now we're like a one-stop shop for influence marketing, because we cater for all types of in-person venues. Obviously not just food now. We work with like nail salons and hair salons and cinemas and theaters and literally anything. Like, if you want to invite an influencer in for a product, or I don't know, tasting, or like a service, or to try a new menu, we have that capability. whether it's like a individual visit, an event, or something on like a walk-in basis. But then because we had a lot of demand from like the product-based brands who don't necessarily have a venue, we implemented the gifting feature. So I'd say like we're very agile in the sense like we can still very much build out the platform to the needs of our clients or potential clients. But honestly, I think right now we've really got to a place where the platform covers pretty much everything.
Yeah.
Of course, there's always enhancements to be made, but I think our next goal is like, we've proved the product in London and the UK. We've got influencers now joining all over the world because the app is released like now on all the app stores. We're actually launching in New York next week, which is
so by the time this goes out,
we're going to be live. So yeah, we're going live on the 2nd of April. So amazing. By this, I mean, it's a secret now, but I'm sure it will be out.
No, it will be out after that.
Yeah, perfect. Sure. So yeah, our plan is basically to replicate what we've done in London and like replicate it across globally, you know, cities all over the world. So yeah, we're starting in New York and then we're going to go state by state.
How did you onboard those big brands, I guess, at the beginning? Because like once obviously they're on and they see how it is, then it's fine, and onboarding new brands becomes easier. But like at the very, very start, how did you I'm talking about the big brands. Like we obviously answered the question about the small ones, but the big ones.
I think big ones did come later. I think like I'm trying to think like who our first big client was. I guess like we started with the smaller ones who obviously we offered free trials just to really see them using the platform. And then a lot of them again came from my food page. So like Chipotle, I can tell you that story. Essentially, I was invited directly to their launch event, I think in Soho. I remember being like, okay, yeah, sure, I'll come. But can I meet the marketing manager? And they were like, yeah, like they'll be there. So I went, met the marketing manager, got a meeting with her, and then just explained the whole thing and got them signed straight away. Wow. So I think it's just like showing them like actually how the app looks, how it works. Because when you say it, it seems so simple and they're like, oh, like don't have time for another tech platform, like whatever. But when you really realize that like we have all the creators that were at this event anyway, like they knew all of them, right? So instead of going through the process of the email back and forth, you literally could have put it out on the app and now do like get people down. So now Chipotle do all their events on our app. Amazing. And the generic promotion that I can just go get my free burrito, you know. But yeah, I think the bigger brands obviously have come, and then once you get one over the line, it's a lot easier to get the others, as you said.
But again, that came from your experience being a
majority of my clients have come from my food page, I would say.
But that's just like the value, I guess, in order to like building something yourself. That's maybe like slightly adjacent to like a compliment, I guess, to what you're building afterwards.
Yeah, exactly. Which is also why I kind of do need to still put effort into my page, because it definitely it got us Hilton hotels. It's got us Dunkin. It's got us lots of clients because I use it. I also use it as outreach, of course. Like when it's coming from a food page, and you know they want to. Every time now I get contacted saying, "Hey, I want to collaborate." Yeah, I say you can put me on my app.
Amazing. Yeah, that's
which I know is slightly cheeky, but I'm just like, you can put me and thousands of others on my app, and then they're like, oh, what's your app? And I just say that because ultimately I want Invyted to be the go-to like platform to book collabs. Like why would I be doing it on an email when like I literally have an app to streamline it? Yeah. So
very, very true.
Yeah, that's what I do.
Asti, we're gonna wrap up the podcast there. I do want to ask you a question before we wrap up Codely, but like what's your favorite cuisine?
My favorite cuisine? Yeah. Ooh, I would have to say Japanese.
Japanese.
Yeah, I just love sushi so much. I could eat it every day.
What's an underrated cuisine?
Underrated? Ooh, Peruvian maybe.
Really? Yeah, actually.
I guess like Peruvian's not like there's not that many restaurants. Pachamama though is a very good Peruvian. So
you heard it here.
But yeah, no, Peruvian. I'd say. I mean, again, it's still kind of like I love all the ceviche and the raw fish and things like that. And of course, I love like Japanese food, but. Yeah, Peruvian is quite underrated.
I'd say so.
There's not that many like restaurants.
No. How can people stay in touch with you and Invyted going forward?
If you want to stay in touch with me, you can. Well, I've got Asti Wagner on LinkedIn. Eat with Ast is my food page on Instagram, of course, and TikTok. And then Invyted is invyted.app on all social media. So LinkedIn, TikTok, and Instagram. So if you're a brand, you want to work with us and our influencers, then I'm here.
Amazing. Asti, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. It's been such a pleasure having you on.
Thank you so much for having me.
I'm sure we'll talk very soon. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for clicking on this episode of The Millennial Entrepreneur. The ambition of the podcast is to share relatable stories from young entrepreneurs doing some incredible things to inspire the next generation, including you listening wherever you are. We've been doing this podcast for over 3 years and the ambition has not changed. The only thing that has changed is the scale of where we want to go. We want to bring on bigger guests for you guys to show more and more relatable stories from young entrepreneurs across the world. The majority of you guys watching or listening haven't subscribed to the podcast yet. All you have to do is click that subscribe button wherever you're listening, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, and that will allow us to bring on bigger guests and ask the questions that you really want to hear. And it really is that simple.